Hey guys, welcome back to Set Streets and Eights. I'm Chris Bauer. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I am going to tour the Gerald Ford Presidential Library and Museum. Now the presidential museums, libraries and museums actually, there's only 15 total. 13 of them are actually open, you can tour today. 2 have still not opened yet. They started doing these right after Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidency. Basically it's just a place to store and archive all the president's gifts and correspondence they have when they're in office. That stuff can really add up. A lot of it's of historical significance. This was a good way to do it, so they started doing those after FDR. They did, however, go back and do one for Herbert Hoover, who was before FDR. So his is the oldest, well, not the oldest building, but the oldest president library and museum would be Herbert Hoover's. But I'm hoping and I'm planning on visiting all 13 of them, 15 by the time they're open. I really love history, American history especially. We of course have Betty Ford, who got very famous when her husband was president, but also even more famous due to her clinic that she opened after his presidency ended. She's helped probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with addiction. So we're going to go in and check it out, and this will be the first of my presidential library tours, and I'm pretty excited, and I hope you join me. Let's travel.
I'm Chris Bauer, and I am an art slinger. I travel around the U.S. selling artwork at comic and anime conventions, and while I'm there, I like to check out cool sites, eat great food, and see all the places my favorite movies and TV shows are made. Welcome to Sets, Streets, and Eats.
This is pretty cool though. This is a piece of the Berlin Wall. The Iron Curtain. Still just a piece of it. Sitting right here. Used to divide Berlin right down the middle. That was torn down when I was a kid. I think it was 1989, 1990, something like that.
Required extraordinary presidential leadership.
In our history that troubled our minds and tore at our hearts.
Gerald Ford was propelled into the presidency by a sequence of unpredictable events.
So Gerald Ford was born in 1913. He died in 2006. What makes him unique out of all other presidents and presidential libraries is he served as both vice president and president of the United States, and he was never elected to either position. He was appointed vice president by Nixon when Spiro Agnew resigned in 1973, I think. And then not too long later, because Nixon was embroiled in the Watergate scandal, Nixon resigned and Gerald Ford became president. He ran for president, of course, from 1976, but lost narrowly to Jimmy Carter. So he was never actually elected. But here we are in his presidential library and museum, just like any of the other presidents of the last 70, 80 years. Well, it's probably longer than 80 years. 90 years. He was an Eagle Scout, which is a very hard accomplishment for a Boy Scout. You have to do everything. It's the upper echelon of Boy Scouts. This was his family's paint, varnish, and enamel store here in Grand Rapids. His high school. Of course, his athletic life. He went on to play for the University of Michigan. And interesting enough,
when he left University of Michigan, he had offers to play pro ball from both Green Bay and from the Detroit Lions. And he turned them down to go to Yale Law School. That probably wouldn't happen today. Stationed in the South Pacific. There's actually now an aircraft carrier right here. Or this is the aircraft carrier that he served on. But there's an aircraft carrier now that is actually named after him, the Gerald Ford. Betty Bloomer. Betty Ford. There's a new one season worth. I don't know if they're going to make a second one, but there's a new show on Showtime called First Lady. It is excellent. Basically, it follows the lives of Betty Ford, Michelle Obama, and Eleanor Roosevelt. It's quite excellent. Covers a lot of history in just those 3 lifetimes, and yeah, it's pretty neat. You should check it out. But it really gets into Betty Ford's, her genesis of how she became the person that founded the Betty Ford Clinic. So she definitely had her own personal struggles. This is his desk that he used here in his office in Grand Rapids. Not sure if they have his presidential desk. Haven't gotten that far into it yet. The old pipes. There's nothing quite like the smell of tobacco pipe. I really enjoy it. He did serve on the Warren Commission, which of course investigated the Kennedy assassination. We know now that they did either a terrible job or were part of the cover-up. Because they came up with the whole lone gunman. Oswald was the lone gunman. And, well, there's still a lot of theories on that, but... I didn't actually realize that Gerald Ford had written a book on Oswald. Wow. I need to read that. Of course, he was a congressman for 25 years, rose to the status of minority leader. And boy, oh boy, the Watergate burglary. What a time in American history. Ooh. I don't know what these are. Government exhibit. Were these from the break-in? No way. Wire cutters and a pen light. Oh. These appear to be from the break-in, if I'm reading this right. What? How cool is that? Howard Hunt and G. Gordon Liddy probably held those. Howard Hunt and G. Gordon Liddy were famously the henchmen in charge of the Watergate burglary. They worked for the president's, rat effing committee, basically, where they called it rat effing. I'll keep it clean. But they would just cause problems for the opposition, and that was their entire job. So that's part of what all came out during the Watergate investigation, the Watergate hearings, and all that. So them getting caught at the Watergate was what started it all, and ended with Gerald Ford being sworn in as the 38th president. That the 25th Amendment and the pen that signed it. It was enacted for the first time when Nixon nominated Ford to be vice president. Wow. There's Ford's swearing-in Bible. Wow. That's cool. These are little gifts and mementos. Ford received the gavel as a memento as his role of chairman of the Republican National Convention.
gavels right there. But these are the kind of things that you're going to see in presidential libraries and museums, is these things, these trinkets, these things that are given to presidents and people in power. There's far too many to have in a personal collection for these guys. So that's why these libraries are great. They're able to archive these things. And there's Ford's briefcase that he had when he was president. Kind of amazing we've only had, is it 46 or 47 presidents? Let's say 46. Terrible of me for not knowing that. It's either 46 or 47. I mean, we're still such a young country. I think that's why we're so prone to problems, I guess. You know. This is actually interesting. So this talks about, there was two, he was only in office for 2 years, and there was 2 assassination attempts, both by women, only ones in presidential history. 2 assassination attempts on Gerald Ford. You had the housewife named Sarah Jane Moore. She pulled the gun. I don't know if she got a shot off, but it was at a personal, it was in San Francisco at a personal or appearance. Let's see if she got a shot off. That's right. She had a .38 caliber revolver. She raised it and shot just above his head, which they assumed that she was actually meaning to hit her or hit him, and she just missed. But the other one was even more interesting. Squeaky Fromm, who was Charles Manson's main lady. She's played by Dakota Fanning in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She got a shot. She had a .45 caliber. They were able to get the gun from her hand before she pulled the trigger, but she had a .45 caliber pistol, and she was able to get it out of her coat and aimed at him. So it's pretty crazy. It's hard to believe, man. 2 years, and he gets 2 attempts. You can tell you the volatile time that the Watergate era was. Oh, they actually have Squeaky Fromm's pistol. Wow. Squeaky Fromm, the main lady of the family, the Manson family, held that gun and tried to assassinate Gerald Ford with it. That's crazy. Check that out. I did not know they had a bulletproof vest and coat for the Secret Service. Huh. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I love this. Most of the presidential libraries have this, but they have the recreations of what their Oval Office looked like. I think that is cool. This is Ford swearing in. He has a famous quote from that speech when he was sworn in that I believe it goes, I am acutely aware that I was not elected to this position by ballot, by votes in the ballot box, but ask for your vote in prayers. I think that's how it goes. I'm sure I butchered it, but it kind of goes to his character, where this guy was an extremely moral. He was just a really good person and a total patriot. The man served, and yeah, it just there's not a lot like him anymore. Well, this is a picture of him at a desk. So maybe, yeah, it's either a recreation or that's it. No, it doesn't have that center piece. Oh yeah, it does. It sure does. That might be the desk. Well, let's see if we can get this one to work. Oh, we can. The Wilson desk. One of 6 desks available to the president to use. The Wilson desk is unique because of its grim history. The desk was fabricated in 1850. It is the desk. Okay, so Nixon used the Wilson desk as well. Oh, when he was vice president. And when he took office as president, he requested the desk to... Oh, Wabi, so this was Nixon and Ford's desk. So Nixon had it throughout the time he was vice president, all the way through his presidency, and then Ford kept it. That's cool. What a piece of history, huh? Wow. Not sure exactly which doors go to which, but obviously access to the outside world probably from that one, and then every president has a private office off of the Oval Office as well. So many offices. Since that was Woodrow Wilson's desk, it makes me kind of think Woodrow Wilson famously got sick. They kept it secret. He got very sick during his presidency, and his wife actually made a lot of decisions, basically ran the country for quite a while during his presidency. They kept it quiet and all that, but kind of makes you wonder. You can just imagine her sitting at that desk too, making choices. So this wall is dedicated to talking about just some of the things he did. He only had 2 years in office, but he was able to accomplish a lot. That's funny. Chevy Chase, very famously on Saturday Night Live, he would make Ford to be a total klutz, and those sketches are hilarious. But also the most controversial thing Ford did, and probably the thing that actually cost him re-election or election for the first time, would be pardoning Nixon. He made the choice that the country had already been mired in this terrible fiasco for several years, and he decided that to pardon Nixon would end it. We wouldn't have to go through another trial that could last years. It cost him, arguably, it cost him the presidency, being elected president. So, but he made the choice, and he stood by it. Madisonville, I know right where that's at. The most athletic president. Skiing, tennis, swimming, golf. There's the shoes. There's the family. Susan was played by Dakota Fanning in the new First Lady series. That's cool. I don't know if any of them actually still live here. Probably not. Well, I'm not sure. I know that after the presidency, Gerald and Betty moved to Palm Springs. Betty always wanted to live where there was sun, and you're going to get a lot of that in Palm Springs, California, for sure. This is a Betty Ford dedicated room. It's got some of her dresses. She did a lot in a short time. Oh, that's a famous, at the hospital right after she had a radical mastectomy. Mastectomy? She had breast cancer. And the press, when they were leaving the hospital, right in the hospital, asked her when she thought she'd be strong enough or when her strength would come back. And she got up and threw the football to Gerald Ford. Very famous moment, just to kind of show that she was already back on her feet and that women should go get checked, and it really moved women's health forward a lot, honestly. The head of state gifts. Oh, President of Denmark gave them the tea set. Bronze sculpture of King David from King of Israel. President of Korea gave the lacquer box. And that necklace was given also from Korea. Tuxedo worn by Ford, and the dress worn by Betty Ford. Wow, this was one of the place settings of one of the state dinners. Let's see what they had for dinner here. We got a little menu. Let's see, I'll read it. Columbia River salmon, Filet of beef, artichoke Saint Germain, mushrooms Provençale, bib lettuce salad, brie cheese, basket Grand Marnier, petit fours, Grand Marnier petit fours. Wow, that's cool. Oh, Miss Graham, not sure which Graham that is. Miss Ford was right next to her. I wonder if it was Marcia Graham, who was Betty Ford's dance instructor when she was young. That's right, that Marcia Graham. This was a dagger and scabbard given as a gift from someone in Asia. Suharto? Oh, Indonesia. I assume president or chairman or prime minister of Indonesia. I'm not sure what they have over there, but and of course Vietnam was just ending when Ford took over. They got a helicopter in here. That's pretty cool. So he had to deal with the very ending of that, the pullout, really, 1975. Man, he was involved with some really big moments in history in just 2 short years. Wow. A gift from the Soviets. And this is the phone that Ford called the Apollo crew when they successfully docked with the Soviet space station, which was a huge deal back then. I mean, you're talking still mid-Cold War, and we were, trusting our astronauts in the air with their cosmonauts. So this was the 76 election, the one he of course lost, but he oversaw, during that 1976, he oversaw our 200th anniversary as a country. Ooh, this printing press was thought to be used by Benjamin Franklin during his time as French ambassador in the 18th century. It's from 1785. Wow. Oh, and it was given to President Ford as a bicentennial gift. That's cool. Oh, this is neat. I assume this is a redwood tree. And it has all these different moments in history because that's how old the tree is. Looks like 1789, 1776. Oh, okay. So it's a bicentennial tree. It was planted in 1776. Look at that. How cool is that? So it's as old as America. Think about that. This tree stump, this little carve out of a tree, is as old as our entire country. Wow. And right there, that's when they cut the slab out, 1976. That's cool. Oh, check that out. A bicentennial rifle. Look at all the carvings on it. That's neat. Wow. Old Honest Abe there on the, right above the trigger. Huh. That's pretty neat. Nice sword too. Founding Fathers from 1776 signing the Declaration of Independence. This was from the Republican National Convention, 1976, where Gerald Ford accepted the nomination. Oh my gosh, look at this. Happy Days are here again, so they ripped off Happy Days for that one. But look at the Jimmy Carter toilet paper. Are we serious? What? I've hit bottom with Jimmy. Wow. Classy. I'm for Betty's husband. That's funny. Kissinger stayed on after Nixon as was it Secretary of State. He was pivotal and hugely important, so it was good that he stayed on. But he stayed on through Nixon and Ford. That's cool. That's awesome. That model reminds me of the USS Flag from G.I. Joe when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite toys. It's pretty cool. That's the Gerald Ford, the USS Gerald Ford that is in commission now. This is the cabinet room replica. Yeah, Truman,
Meeting is convened. The president occupies
Abraham
the tall
Lincoln.
chair at the center. The vice president sits opposite the president. Each cabinet member is assigned a chair affixed with a brass plate listing his or her cabinet position and the date the cabinet official was appointed. On the president's right sits the Secretary of State, who in protocol ranking is first among the department heads. The Secretary of Treasury, ranking second, sits to the Vice President's right. The Secretary of Defense, ranking third, sits to the President's left. And the Attorney General, ranking fourth, sits to the Vice President's left. In addition, the cabinet room is often filled with aides sitting in chairs along the walls of the cabinet room. This formal yet comfortable environment provides a working forum for the president to discuss issues and to communicate priorities and directives to the cabinet members.
That's cool.
The cabinet room itself was built during Teddy Roosevelt.
So he died in 2006. Of course, they put him in state in the Rotunda, where he spent 25 years as a congressman and the minority leader before becoming vice president and then president. And this is his legacy hall, basically, talking about his life and all the things he accomplished.
He was a gold-plated politician that had asked for what had been thrust upon him. He was just a man of the people from Michigan. He and Betty Ford brought a lot of dignity and decency at a time when we really needed it. And so we will always be very indebted to him.
These are shells from his 21-gun salute. All the Boy Scouts came out to honor one of their own. They had an Eagle Scout. That's neat. 3-finger salute. Wow. Cabinet and advisors. Of course, Rockefeller was his vice president. Kissinger. Old Donnie Rumsfeld. Always getting in there. Temporarily removed? I don't know what that means. It's weird. Well, he did have one lady. And there's H.W., director of the CIA. This was a gift of David and Goliath from Jerusalem.
It was a celebration our country badly needed. As we finally put the turmoil of the 60s,
Crude oil presented to Gerald for
the long nightmare of World
1980. Oh, building of the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, completed in 1977.
I will always remember the words he spoke. Freedom is always worth fighting for.
Oh, is it painted by
Ultimately belongs
a
to
Vietnam
those
refugee
who suffered.
and given to the Fords when they arrived?
As your captain, along with representatives of her crew, I stand here proud to serve this great nation.
From Helsinki, the Helsinki Medal. Okay. Presented for in 1975 presents his signing of the Helsinki Accords. Oh, okay.
Friend, shipbuilder,
That's cool.
family, thank you again for the opportunity to speak on such an honored occasion.
And then the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award. Now, I didn't see it here, but he was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor an American can receive. I believe, I want to say either George Bush was president when he awarded that to him, but I could be wrong. Could have been Clinton, not sure, but I know he did receive it. Here in the gift shop, we have lots of presidential socks, just in case you wanted to wear them on your feet. This is pretty neat. They've got an autobiography of Gerald Ford, and it's the last copy. It's autographed by him. And it's signed $1,000. It can be yours. There's that quote I was thinking of earlier. It's actually at the exit here. You have not elected me as your president by your ballots, and so I ask you to confirm me as your president with your prayers. I have not sought I have not sought this enormous responsibility, but I will not shirk it. Our Constitution works. Our great republic is a government of laws and not of men. Here the people rule. God helping me, I will not let you down. Yeah, that guy was a solid patriot. Of course, that word gets misused these days and doesn't always describe the type of person Gerald Ford was. I think Gerald Ford exemplifies what a patriot is, not the type that we have today. So this is the final resting place of Gerald Ford and his wife Betty. They were entombed here after their deaths. Of course, Gerald Ford was first in 2006, and then Betty followed in 2011. Yes, 2011. This was a really neat library, a little piece of history that presidential history especially is really interesting, and you don't always know all the stuff until you get to, they put it, usually you hear about presidents as a part of another story. It's neat to have a museum dedicated just to them. It's good for the country, it's good for the family, I really enjoy the Presidential Museum and Library. I've been to a couple of them as a kid, so this will be the start of my journey to travel to all of them as an adult, and I'll take you guys along with me. What's really cool is I purchased this in the gift shop. So every Presidential Library and Museum has these, the passports. They are for presidential libraries only. And each one you visit, let me find it. I've got to find it. Each one you visit, you get a stamp with a date. And when you visit all 13 in this book, you get a secret gift. So, now I've really got a goal. I don't know what it is, but we'll find out. And I'm planning on however long it takes me over the next year or two, visiting all 13 presidential libraries that are out there. There are two others, President Obama's and President Trump. Trump's has not been built yet. Obama's is opening this year, but it is going to be run independently and not by the National Archive. Not sure of the reasoning behind it, but the National Archive runs all the other presidential libraries. So this passport's good for the 13 National Archive presidential libraries. So we'll start this journey, but I really enjoyed my visit to the Ford Presidential Library and Museum, and I hope you did too. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye now.